Hey friends, now that I've tried many roles and have time with it under my belt, I can confidently say that Veleda-F is one of, if not the best sniper rifle in the game. I think Cloud Strike is the best pound for pound, but if we're considering legendaries, this is an aggressive frame so it still can kill supers, yet has aim assist perks that make it keep up with faster, snappier snipers, while still maintaining the good zoom value of close to 50. It is fantastic. Today's format for the video will include the review, then the gameplay, then the Lost Sector strategy guide, because today is a really fast Lost Sector. Hey friends, today's video is on the Veleda-F Sniper. You can get it from today's Lost Sector in about 1:30 to 2 minutes. It's a very casual run, so if you're watching this the first day, take advantage of that. For everyone else, we are talking about what roles to look for on the Veleda-F. And I believe that if you're going for a daily driver, you want fluted barrel, handling masterwork, extended mag for the AE, but you could also take steady rounds for that same reason and also have some stability for anti-flinch. If you are taking closing time, consider one of the magazine boosting perks since that gives you 2 bullets worth of closing time of the maximum effect. Keep in mind, Bungie did mention that they are looking out at these perks being too hot. So if I had to guess, they're probably gonna, I don't know, have their effect on special weapons or something like they did to fusion rifles in the past. So Lone Wolf, if it gets nerfed too much, you want to keep rolls with Snapshot. And if closing time gets nerfed too much, you want to look for Opening Shot. So the classic combo that everyone knows and loves. I believe if you use the last word with Lucky Pants, you would prioritize the closing time Lone Wolf combo. So you can do this. But they also just re-enabled last word getting an accuracy bonus, not a range bonus, with Radiant Dance Machines. So you're probably going to use that, which means you don't have to religiously reproc the illegally modded holster perk. So that's the swap speed there. And then you can see it's noticeably slower with my daily driver roll. I think this is the best variant possible. This is what you want to go for because you truly don't have that much ammo, so you're not swapping on and off your sniper constantly like you used to when snipers had primary ammo levels of reserves. The next one to pay attention to is, believe it or not, Vorpal Weapon, because when a Spec Blade Super is invisible, they get extra damage resistance, and this is the only thing that can kill them other than, I guess, Lorentz Driver. But you could also use that too if you don't want to keep this in your vault, assuming Bungie doesn't change anything with supers getting hit by sniper rifles. Now, traditionally, that is why you use an aggressive frame, to kill supers. And this does kill most of them. It kills all the popular ones. 10 Resilience, Well of Radiance, etc. I think Dawn Blades might be able to tank it at 10 Resilience, but you're just not going to run into those. And if you do, take out your anti-spec blade weapon. And then finally, you would also be keeping a PvE version with either Air Trigger or Deconstruct with Vorpal Weapon and hopefully also Withering Gaze, just so you can have some utility there. If you know with speedrunning, if you proc a Radiant and have a Vorpal Weapon Sniper, you can instantly break a barrier shield, which helps a lot for speed since you're not taking the extra time to shoot 2 bullets. Past that, let's look back at D2 Foundry and see if I missed anything. I guess there's also no distractions opening shot, and I will do a review of that role because I did get it to drop. At the current moment, I would say I would rather just use a frozen orbit with a similar setup of no distractions and snapshot. This is my daily driver role, by the way, for frozen orbit. So if you're watching this video and Veleda's harder to get for whatever reason, whether they removed it from the loot pool or it's just not in a good master loss sector, then you can always go to the Crucible vendor and get a frozen orbit. I stand by this thing being awesome, and the Origin Straight also gives you some handling, which is noticeable, but this has got a little bit power crept. Maybe if Lone Wolf closing time get hit, you might see me trying to go for something like moving target opening shot just to have as much aim assist goodness as possible at the expense of handling. Or you might see what I did back in the day, which was use surplus. I guess we can show you in game here. Since the snare bomb has been nerfed so that opponents can like dodge and move around inside of it, I don't know if they can still slide. But it is a nerf that it should have had and never should have got buffed to begin with. Am I really going down this on a sniper video? I think I am. Yeah, they nerf clone the wrong way, and then they unnecessarily buff both Swarm and Smoke, and now we're still just paying the sins of that. Clone should have always had the ability to pierce through it. It's a very easy change. And now we're missing out on like the radar manip combo of not playing Invis, throwing a Smoke, dropping a clone so that the radar is red in places that they don't expect. I miss it. Now they're just shadows of their former selves, and maybe it's not worth running Snare Bomb. And instead, you run Withering Blade. Withering Blade also sucks, by the way, but you're using it because it sucks, but you're just not using the Withering Blade. You're backpacking it. So you carry 2 of those extra charges, and then you use a surplus weapon. And that is how you have the other type of last word swap speed if you play Prismatic. Also, by the way, Facet of Solitude works with the last word to where you can get your max rate of fire 3-tap and you go invisible. So there is some synergy there. Of course, you are going to be using Radiant Dance Machines. So like I said, the swap speed isn't the end of the world these days. Also, you can use Cloud Strike too. Speaking of Cloud Strike, one of the reasons that you would value both this and Frozen Orbit is the zoom is close to 50. And some may argue that's too much, some too little. I think this is the Goldilocks zone of Destiny 2 right now. Also, since Cloud Strike is high handling, you can go for a snapshot version of Veleda, and I'll just show you here. The aim down sights timing of it is going to line up with Cloud Strike. So 0.39, and of course you get extra ADS speed with a targeting mod, and you're always going to have one of those on. That's part of why I recommend this, is because it's Void, and what are the meta supers right now? Well, if you're going to be playing Night Stalker for the Void subclass kit, you're going to be using Spectral Blades. Because you're only getting 1 super a game, it might as well be one that nets you 3 kills. It's not like Trials, where Tether can sometimes win the game before they even get a super. No, most game modes, it's just you're getting 1 spec, so you're using that. On Prismatic Titan, you're using the axes because they're faster and better, especially on mouse and keyboard. And then on Prismatic Warlock, you're pretty much not getting a super unless you go Nova Bomb or the terrible green one that doesn't hit anything. Obviously, you're also going to play Dawnblade or Well of Radiance, but the fragment setup on Dawnblade is so loose that you can pretty much run any elemental weapon you want, so the mods aren't an issue. But on Void Hunter, yeah, the mods very much matter because you need to be able to fit in that extra space to be able to run stuff like Vigilance and Starvation. So now getting back on track here, we were talking about ADS speed. So I grabbed my Cloud Strike just to remind me that it has 86 handling, 50 zoom. You can't display the catalyst in D2 Foundry, so I have to simulate it using Frozen Orbit with 2 stacks of surplus, Arrowhead Break, 85 handling, and the aim down sights with a targeting mod is 0.29 seconds. Then we go over to Veleda with Lone Wolf when you're alone, targeting mod, 25 aim down. And of course, with snapshots, 0.27. However, we know Lone Wolf is most likely going to get nerfed, maybe halved, and look at what it's like at base. That's probably what it's going to be like alone in the future, which is very similar to Cloud Strike with a lot less handling. If you wanted a 1-to-1 with Cloud Strike, then what you would probably do is just take Snapshot with the highest amount of handling you can get on something like Frozen Orbit or Uzume. That would be your answer for a Cloud Strike analog. Also, if for whatever reason you never saw my Veleda D retirement video, you should watch it. It's a good watch. This will not be a commentated gameplay. It's in the Guardian games, which means there's probably not heavy skill-based matchmaking. It was my first game on of the day, which I think is actually a better representation of what this snipe can do, because I don't even feel like my aim was good, and it was just hitting. But since I did want to get a video out today, consider this a placeholder gameplay, and expect a more critical, competitive video in the future. Hey friends, if you're watching this video the day it came out, consider yourself lucky because it is a very easy lost sector, and the loot today is the Void Scout Rifle, the Void Sniper, which is what the video is about, the Void Grenade Launcher, and the Stasis Submachine Gun. The strategy is built around Lightning Surge with Syntheseps, and then this is the artifact. Gonna start this one off with a slide to get amplified, and then continuing the sprint to keep the sprint bonus, then continuing the slide into a double kill to make an Orb of Light so I can do more damage to the future champion. Fusion Rifle's Pierce, by the way, so you can get collats pretty easy. I look up to try to make my Lightning Surge not crazy track, and I want to be avoiding the floor here because those Acolytes will slow me. I'm not too crazy about getting this Jolt stun immediately because I want to proc Syntheseps from the ads spawning in, so I'll wait right there intentionally. If I have line of sight, I'll hit him with the needle to give me Radiant again. He should be a finisher away into the Transcendence. And then you just Lightning Surge away. Go crazy. If it's red on the radar, go. Use your heavy weapon for filler. I'm probably going to get slowed here. This should track upward. And if not, no big deal. I can use my super on this champ, or I can just save it for the next set. If I had a little bit better luck with the Lightning Surge, I wouldn't have to clean up those ads. Then you just want to throw a grenade down and then pre-charge your unstop stun wherever he is. There he is. And throw a super if you want. Usually you can hit the whole group. There you go. Easy lost sector, under a minute 30. But if you want speed strats, I'll do a post commentary on that too. So what did I get? If you do happen to get a Yarovit, we might as well just go over this now. Y'all have already heard me talk about Veleda, so let's start with Yarovit. This is a stasis lightweight submachine gun, and its competition includes Peace Bond and Multi-Mach from Iron Banner, where this sets a niche is if you're trying to use something like Mask of Bakris or Validor's Wrathweavers to get bonus damage, it does work with them. However, I think the only reason you would really keep this is if you're a mouse and keyboard player who wants a submachine gun that feels good and is responsive to flinch. If that's the case, you want to go Zen Moment, and then either of these three perks, Encore, Strategist, or Dynamic Sway. I prefer Strategist just because it helps with my cooldowns. I value Thruster, Rift, and Hunter Dodge because I consider the dodges at least a way to not die to fusion rifles, so it's probably always going to be Strategist for me. As for the Barrel Mag Masterwork, just put range and stability. You don't even need recoil direction on this. It is a dream to shoot. Then you also get the Omelon Fluid Dynamics. It is fantastic. If you're a controller player though, I do recommend for the same build crafty setups, just take the hit to mobility and use Peace Bond, or don't do the build crafty stuff and use Multi-Mach. It is a superior option. Moving on, the Admetus D Scout Rifle. Keep in mind that Lone Wolf and Closing Time is probably going to get a nerf. So right now I do recommend Lone Wolf Withering Gaze without a doubt. And you want to make this stat package as close to Jade Rabbit as possible. Lone Wolf gets it done. That is fantastic. But in the future, while you're running this, you should be also keeping an eye out for, no pun intended, Keep Away. Because it sort of acts as a pseudo radar when you're aiming down sights for Withering Gaze. And then you see the Keep Away perk go away, which means that someone's probably around the corner with a shotgun or a fusion. And then the most obvious synergy is Repulsor Brace. You just use Knucklehead Radar, aim down sights, and you're less in danger when trying to proc Withering Gaze. This should be a fantastic scout rifle. It is going to be in my loadout rotation for whenever something like Eternity or Widow's Court comes up, because I think this combo is really, really strong. Assuming that there's an exotic kinetic weapon you want to use of some sort to pair with this. Maybe that would be like Ager's Scepter for me. Truth Teller, the old version was better. I'm not even going to make a recommendation on this. You know what you want from this. But if you didn't know, you can just gamble for the old version from Zur, which has superior rolls like Swashbuckler and Disruption Break with auto-loading holster. And then of course, I already talked about Veleda. I'm just trying to get the video out as fast as possible, so no editing software, we're just going to do this in the video player. So mountaintop lines, you can let the backpack I should probably mention that. You're here for advanced information, might as well tell you. If you try to manually reload, sometimes it messes up your burst glide, so it's better to let it backpack sometimes with auto-loading holster. And that's exactly what I did here. If you use this hole in the rock to line up, that helps. Pre-aiming with a Withering Gaze fusion rifle with unstop. So there's a timing to it, but you can hit both of them at the same time as fast as possible if you have like the right charge time perks and no liquid coils. So champion, weakened. Now I'm going to look up at the ceiling so that my lightning surge doesn't track. I got my armor charge. Now I need to line up for the next set of champions. There's a set of ads about the spawn, and I want to use them for Syntheseps if possible. I barely had it. Thought I missed it. Probably not worth getting a Withering there, because I'm just going to melt this champion anyway with the Bolt Charge artifact stuff. Then I noticed that my Transcendence was really, really close to finishing, and I just needed Dark. So I kind of panicked on, well, how do I get the Dark energy? Tangle was the answer, but I should have thrown the Tangle at the other ads, since their death is contingent on the boss spawn. Regardless, it's the same thing as the casual strat, just Lightning Surge everything. You might also notice I'm not on Devour, because, like, what's the point? You're not in danger if everything in the room is dead. Something about sword blocking controversy on Twitter, whatever. Like, y'all just have fun playing the game. If you're public queuing anything, you should be expecting to do all the work by yourself, or you should be having better requirements for your post and actually like vetting players and building a community of high skill players that also teach other people how to get up to their level comfortably and that are receptive to feedback and want to get better and so forth. You don't need all this bickering and back and forth. Pre-spawn champ, get the stun, maybe the weaken, and then it's just lightning surges. I got super unlucky on this because sometimes the boss just like stands right next to the champion, and I probably could have double killed both of them and saved about 5 seconds. Woohoo! Lost sector done. Super clean run.